Shabbat Shalom Mishpacha. This is Rabbi Simon Altaf, Kohen. I think we'll give it a start a little bit early so that we can get through the class quickly. Baruch Shem Yahweh. As most of you may or may not know, that tomorrow evening is Yom Kippur, Feast of Atonements. It starts tomorrow night, your time, evening, and that's when the fast starts, and it finishes the next day, sunset. So you start 1 hour before sunset. If those of you are going to attempt this fast, it's a 25 hours fast, and it starts 1 hour before sunset in the evening, and it ends the next day. Now, of course, many people these days will be ill, will have to take medication or other stuff, or possibly can't endure a fast that long because it might be life-threatening to some people. In that case, if you're ill, if you take medicine, if you feel that you won't be able to last that long because of the heat or whatever the reason, thirst maybe, then you can still do a smaller version of it. You can do a smaller version of the fast, or you can find an alternative method to afflict your soul. So it could be, you could maybe do a 5-hour fast with water, or maybe in the entire fast with water, or maybe you do an alternative method where you don't fast, but you do it some other way. So you have to figure that out for yourselves, because there is no hard and fast rule. Traditionally, it's been a fast, but the Hebrew word that is used there to afflict your souls, it doesn't say to fast. That's just a traditional understanding to do that. As we spoke last week, and I said that there are many ways to afflict your soul, and you have to find what afflicts your soul, and then you follow that through. That may be the best way to deal with it. Just to remember that it starts 1 hour before sunset in the evening tomorrow, on the 9th of the month, and then on the 10th you would finish it at sunset and have your meal. Usually the course of meal is usually fish, mostly on all festivals. Fish is grilled, and if those of you who don't like fish, or don't eat it, or don't have it, you can then use alternatives like you could have beef, you could do lamb, you could do chicken, other things, whatever it is, because the idea is to give thanks, the idea is to give gratitude, and it's not so much focused on what you eat, it's more on what you do. Also tomorrow is another time to do Yizchor ceremony. Yizchor ceremony is when your parents have died, or some loved ones have died, and you sit down and you do a little vigil for them, you do a little fast or a little prayer for them. You read some psalms like Psalm 18, Psalm 118, some other psalms, 119 possibly, and what you then do is you would pray for your loved ones to ascend to the next level. And that way, if they've recently died, then they ascend to the next level. That basically means they get reincarnated. Reincarnation is a reality. They will get reincarnated into new bodies. Their souls will be sent back to the earth if they are being held back for any particular reason. So that's a time called Yizchor, and you can do that. The actual procedure is in the Forever-Israel Siddur. It has the procedure in there, what you need to do. Just follow it. If you have it, just follow the book, and it will illustrate to you what you do. So this is the time that we do it. And so therefore, if your mother or father or some close loved one has died recently, that's the way to go. Now, I guess the Parsha this week will generally be the case that it's a festival. So usually there is no particular Parsha, but because we're at the ending of the cycle, the last Parsha would be HaAzinu. That's the one that's normally read. And if I look at it, it basically says this: give ear, O Shamayim, O you Shamayim, O you heavens, and I will speak and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as a rain, my speech shall drip as the dew, as a small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass. Because I will publish the name of Yahweh, ascribe you greatness to our Supreme One. He is the rock, His work is complete, for all His halachot, for all His commandments are righteous. The El of truth, the power of truth, and without iniquity, just and right is He. That's basically, really, if you really look at it, it really speaks about giving thanks. HaAzinu is talking about your ear, open your ear. Now, we're not talking about literally ear over here. Somebody said something this week, and it basically reminded me of something to forewarn you. They said that they were talking about general things in life, and they said, I wish I could get that. Like people say, I wish I could get that. And I had to remind them that you never ever wish. That is a fatal mistake. That's the 007 mistake you will never make, to wish. Because if you wish you could accomplish a mission, you will never accomplish it. You should always be saying that you can, and you will, and you are. So your mission is not about wishing, it's about receiving and saving that you have received it and you have it. See, all the teachings in the Bible are all about believing. Believing means having the, that faith of steel that you have it. Believing is not about, oh, please God, give it to me, and oh, I'm down and out, oh, I'm crying, oh, this and all that. These are all methods that you see in churches being performed week in, week out, where people go, they sit together, they say a few prayers, and they sing a ding, and they do their little coffee, and they do their little tea, and then they do their little biscuits, and then they sit together and say, oh, give thanks to the Lord. But really, what have they achieved? They have achieved nothing, because all they've done is did a little social gathering, which of course these days that is not even permitted these days, because I think in England they're putting a lockdown to about 10 people or something. They're saying that you can't 6 people. They're saying that more than 6 people can't gather together. I was thinking, there was a friend of mine not too long ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years, no, not even 4 or 5 years, I think less than that. There's a friend I met 2-3 years ago, a friend of mine, who is actually a Christian in England, and he was saying the British people will never give up their bars and their pubs. He said they will never give it up. If you told them all to convert to Islam and then said now you can't go to the bars, they will never give it up. And I was laughing. I said, you're probably right. They will probably never give up their bars and pubs. But you see, coronavirus made them give up their bars and pubs, and they no longer can go to the bars and pubs as they used to. So, I'm not in of course in England, but I've decided when I go to England, I'm definitely going to catch up with that friend and phone him and tell him that the British are forced to give up their bars and pubs. Islam hadn't even come into the country. See, everybody was fearing, oh, Islam this and Islam that, they're going to convert to Muslim and Islam and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that will never happen. But you see, COVID-19 came and demolished the whole, stratosphere, and everybody is now shut down inside their homes, and so the bars and pubs have shut down as well. So they're not allowed to open beyond 10 o'clock, I believe, is the new lockdown rules in England. So even the British man, that typical British man who they said will never give up the bar and the pub, well, he can't even go to the pub now, so he's locked down at home. So that's basically my point. My point is that that's the way it works. That's life. Now, there are a lot of theories about it, and there's other people running around and doing same things, and maybe they are true, and maybe they're not true, that China invented this virus, and they made sure that they sent it to the world, and they wanted to attack the Western world for whatever reason. I don't know the inside politics of China, why China wanted to attack the Western world or the rest of the world. But anyhow, there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there, and you probably have heard one of those conspiracy theories. I don't really have time to get into conspiracy theories because that's not my field of speciality, and I don't live there. I don't spend my life coming up with the next conspiracy theory and how great that is. So to me, again, I come down to that friend's statement, I wish I had that. And I told her, I said, you never wish. Because if you're talking about a wish, then you're talking about lack. You're living in lackland. And if you're living in lackland, not Lapland, but lackland, if you're living in lackland, then you've got a problem. You don't even understand how to apply the perfect law. And some people just don't get it. Some people have been told what to do and they just don't get it. They just don't know how to manifest. Even though they are manifesting, we are constantly manifesting. Even if it's negative things, we're constantly manifesting. But if you don't get it, then you don't know how to apply the perfect law, then you don't get there. I wanted to tell you something, and I want to give you two testimonies today, and maybe I can not give you the second one properly and fully at this point, but let me tell you something. I went to a place about 2 weeks ago. It's a new estate. It's like a brand new estate. It's like a little housing scheme for the rich. And I was walking through that scheme, and I said to my wife, I came back, and it's all basically dirt, dirt roads. Roads were not yet done, and nothing was happening, and it was like dead. There was just fields all around, and there was like these plots of land that they're trying to cut out for the people, but they hadn't even cut the plots out. There was an odd house here and there and whatnot. So I saw that scheme, that housing scheme I think I saw it first about 4 weeks ago. And I said to my wife, after I looked at the scheme, I said, this is the next rising star of this city. This scheme will take over every other scheme over here. And 4 weeks ago I said that. And as I was walking through that land, I stopped the car there, walked through the little piece of land, the dirt roads. And I came back and I said to my wife, wherever I set my foot, that place will become blessed. And I said, watch what happens to this place now. So what happened 2 weeks later, before you know it, there was all these big diggers, road, cutters, and all sorts of other big heavy equipment came over there, and they parked it on the side. And a few days later, they started to close the roads. And then, because we kind of passed through that area, and so they started to close all the roads. And then I have a friend who goes into that area. He's got another friend who owns a lot of land, and he has a little place over there where he keeps his buffaloes, cows, and goats and things. And so he was telling me, he said, did you see that? He said, the whole place is closed up. They are building the roads. I said, are they? I said, good. That's exactly what I said. And I said, I reminded my wife, I said, remember what I told you 4 weeks ago? Wherever I put my foot, that place will be blessed. And then I said, well, let's not finish just over here. Let's just see what they do. And then it was about 2 days ago. Believe me, 2 days ago, I went to this place, and I looked at the place. It was nighttime. They closed the whole place off, and I tried to get in through a little narrow street, and there was a guard ahead. He said, "Oh no, you can't go through here, sir. This road is closed because we're about to resurface the road." So I came back, and today I came back, and my friend who goes to his friend's place over there, who has a lot of land down there, and he sent me a picture. The whole place is. It's brand new roads. They're still closed. They're shut down to the traffic inside, so no one can go there. But the whole place is like, it's brand new roads. I was like, wow. And I said to my wife, see, I showed the picture to her. I said, see what I told you 4 weeks ago? Look with your own eyes what I said. This place was dirt tracks 4 weeks ago. Now it's got roads. The land prices have skyrocketed to $5,000 within a week. What they were selling the land for 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, they have skyrocketed. They were asking for 28,000, odd dollars or something 2 weeks ago for a plot of land over there to build a house. Now they're asking for $33,000 for a plot of land. So I said, now you see, I said, seeing is believing. I can make all sorts of claims, but they don't mean it's true. But I said, now look at my claim and look at what happened. And she's like aghast with her face open. She said, my goodness, yeah, you did say that. Yeah, you're right. Look at that place, incredible. They've really turned it around. I said, that's exactly what I was saying, that this place is the next rising star of this city. And it's going to leave all other housing estates behind. And so the point being that you can. If you believe you can, then you can. And some people are gifted by God, and some people maybe are not. But thing is that you all have the ability to manifest. You all have the ability to apply the perfect law. Question is, are you going to apply the perfect law, or are you going to live your life recklessly? Now, there was another thing, and this is another testimony. Now, I can only give you half of that testimony. When I was in America, I wanted to buy a toy BMW car of black color. I couldn't find it on eBay and Amazon and all those places. So what I did, I ended up finding one that was silver color. So I said, okay, I'll take the silver color. Really, I wanted the black one, because that was the one I wanted to have. So second, I took a Mercedes, a little toy car Mercedes. I wanted to get I wanted the Mercedes the opposite color, the silver color. But I could only find it in black color. So I thought, well, it doesn't matter, because, to me, the Mercedes I would like to see is, silver color. And the BMW I like to see is the black color. And I said, these are my two cars. So I keep them on my table. I'll keep them on my table in America, I'll keep them on my table here. Now, there is probably, and maybe there's a person who can give testimony to that later, but there was also another car I put on my table. That was a Land Cruiser, black color. I wanted to have a Land Cruiser, black color. I said, one day I will have this. So anyway, I put that on my desk as well. And, I keep them on my desk. And people come over here, they say, what is he doing with these little cars? I couldn't bring my Land Cruiser with me, by the way. It's left over there in Ohio, because I had too many things to carry. So I left the little black Land Cruiser there on my desk somewhere. But the thing is that when I put the cars over here, the people would come to my house, visitors like, family members of my wife. They'll come over here, they'll look at my cars, they say, why does he have these cars over here? They'll laugh, they're like it's a kid, right? Like I'm a kid, right? Carrying little cars. And my wife was like, oh, my, cousins came and they were, joking and laughing, and they were saying, oh, why does Simon have those cars on his desk? And she said, well, you don't understand Simon. Simon keeps those cars on his desk because that's the cars he's going to have. And they didn't know what to say. They're like, you must be crazy. These cars in Pakistan, you know how much they are worth? They are extremely expensive cars over here. A BMW in Pakistan will set you back about $100,000. It's expensive over here. And a Land Cruiser is even more expensive. Well, it's about the same price roughly. It's about $100,000 landmark. Because see what happens when they import these cars from America, they have to put taxes on it. So a car that you import from America for $40,000, they put another $40,000 tax on it, that becomes $80,000. Then they add on their profit, that becomes $100,000. That's how cars are over here. So they become more expensive, especially because they don't make them here, they're imported, and so they go by the imported value. Plus the government's trying to make money because they're under heavy debt. They have to service a debt with the IMF, and so what happens is they pass on the prices onto luxury goods, and the cars are considered luxury goods. Well, all I can tell you is this much right at this point. I can't tell you more than this. That somebody over here in Pakistan, I can't tell you who, somebody here in Pakistan gifted me a BMW, brand new. And it's not here with me. They said, that BMW is standing over there, that is yours. Come and take it whenever you want. But I haven't gone to take it yet. But that's my point. My point is this, that a $100,000 car has been gifted to me over here. Why? Because look at my thought process. Look at what I do, and look at how I do it. So, although I'm not saying that the car is parked outside my garage right now, it's not. It's parked in another person's garage, But look, I can go and pull up that car and drive it. And that was my whole point. My whole point is the perfect law is perfect. And you can manifest anything. That's why I was saying to my friend when she was bemoaning about her telephone, she was like, my iPhone is no good, I didn't really like it, didn't really work for me. I want to get another phone, maybe an Android, and I wish I had such and such. And then I stopped her right there and I said, don't ever wish. Because if you wish, then you'll never get it. So my point is people say dream big. Of course, dream big. Dreaming is good, but dreaming is not wishing. Wishing is wishy-washy, but manifesting, putting your desires down and saying you want it is not wishing, it's actually having. So the point I'm trying to make is all the tools and techniques I teach you from the Torah, from the books of the Bible, are all about manifesting. Look, that BMW to me, it's a gift. I'm not going to about to sell that gift and run off with the money. I'm just going to leave it here. It's going to be a gift. When somebody gives you a gift, you don't sell it, you keep it. So to me, if I have that BMW to drive over here, great. It's a nice drive. But that's about as far as it goes for me. It's not like I'm going to say, hey, give me that BMW, I'm going to sell it, I'm going to make 50,000, blah, blah. I don't do that. To me, that'll just stay here as a car. It's a symbol. It's a symbol of authority. That car is a symbol of wealth and authority. So to me, you sit in that car, people will salute you everywhere you go. No one will touch you. Police won't stop you. People will know, hey, that man, he's somebody. But the point being, where that car came from? That came from the military brass in Pakistan. They are at a very high level. And I also sit at their level. I go sit with these people. I sit with them and I talk to them, and they are my friends. So my point is this, that to me, for somebody else, this is a big deal. For me, this is no big deal. Simple. This is simple stuff. And not like I didn't have a BMW before. I had a BMW in England. I had a Mercedes in England. So it's not like, it's out of this world for me. But still, I'm still grateful. I'm thankful that, it's there. It's there. If I want to drive it, I could go pull it out and take it for a ride. That to me, right, is a win. I don't know about anybody else, but for me, that's a big win. I can say to my relatives over here, see, this is not just a toy on my desk. It's actually a meaning, and there's actually a purpose behind it. So the point being, hey, the Land Cruiser. Well, yeah, I got a Land Cruiser toy as well on my desk, and I will also have a Land Cruiser too. So let's just see. Let's just see where that goes. So my point is don't set low expectations for yourself. Set high expectations. High. Be lofty with your goals. As I said before, be outstanding and be outrageous. Don't just think to yourself, maybe I can afford this car, maybe I can't. Don't think like that. Think to yourself, you can, and you will, and you are. So put yourself in the present tense and tell yourself, if God is going to give you a car, then you can afford to put gas in there as well. Just remember that. If God's going to give you a car, you can afford to put gas in there as well, because money will come with it. Money will come with the car for you to put the gas in. And if you can't put the gas in, then you won't get the car either. So my point, right? If you are the type who thinks I can't afford gas, well, guess what? You won't even afford a car then either. So you will not be offered a car by the source energy. We are to connect to source energy. What we call the power of powers. What we call Yahweh, the God of Israel, that is source energy. So if you want to connect to Abba, source energy, then be very mindful and be very careful of how you use the tools, because use them sparingly. Use the tools sparingly. I had a student of mine over here, a Muslim girl. She told me, I met her about 2-3 months ago. I told her, I said, what do you want to do? She said, I like to work in a restaurant. Then I said, write it down. Write down where you would like to work in a nice. I said, write down that you like to work in a really nice restaurant in the city. So you will get that. She never heard of that stuff. She never heard of scripting. Guess, nobody taught her over here. So I taught her, I said, you write it down, and you write it down every day. I said, write it down maybe, 5 to 10 times a day in your little notebook, and write it every day. So she started to write down. And she just called me about a week ago. She said, do you know, do you know that you told me to do this? I said, yeah, I remember I told you to do this. She said, guess what? I found a job in one of the best restaurants in town. And she sent me pictures of the restaurant with the other colleagues over there. I said, great. She said, brilliant. That's fabulous. I said, now what you do? I said, let me tell you now what you do. I said, now you write down you want the manager's job over there. So, I said, don't settle for mediocre. Don't settle for me. You got the job? Great. Now you get your training, you get started, and now you aim for the manager's job. And you write down that you are the manager of this place. So now she's working on becoming the manager of that place. So my point is that you never stop and say, well, I think this is enough. I think I've done enough and I'll stop here. No, because you try to better yourself. You try to better your life. You try to better yourself. Why? Because that's what the Torah teaches us. Remember what the Torah says. Wherever your foot goes, that place is yours. Think about what it says. And most people will just take it like, oh, spiritually, like, no, it doesn't mean quite that wherever my foot goes is mine. It's just saying it. But actually, it's telling you the truth. Wherever your foot goes, that place will be yours. Now, I guess I don't know if you want it or not, but that's another thing. But let me show you something what the Torah says, which I read earlier. It says, give ear, O you Shemaim, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. Look, the Shemaim, the heavens, and the earth, they're all within you. They are all within you. You have the heavens, what we call the paradise, or what we call the kingdom of God. It's within you. It's within your brain. Everything is within. You have to reach it within. Your subconscious is what makes the connection to source energy. Well, if you don't have to be Einstein to figure that out. If you've been with me this long, you know that I teach about how to connect with source energy, how to connect to the powers above, and we do that through our subconscious. You train your subconscious to do that. We use the different tools. We use scripting. We might do affirmations. We may do the index card. We might do the water technique. Speaking into the water and drinking it. Several techniques. We even do like lighting the fire and burning the different elements. I went the other day and I bought all that stuff. I'd received so much favor over here. It's just incredible. The favor I'm getting from the nation around about. It's just incredible. And it's unbelievable, but it's believable by me. It's unbelievable by anybody else outside, but it's very believable by me because that's happening to me. So I understand it. Because these are the goals that I set myself. These are the things that I will said will happen. And you know what? They're happening. They're happening around me. So Baruch Hashem. So the idea is this, that you're all capable. You all can do this for yourself. Yeah, sometimes you may struggle a little bit and you may need a little extra help. And so, I'm here for you to guide you in that matter. But what's important is don't put your life on, the idea of, I like to, wish or maybe. Don't ever use the word maybe. Don't ever use the word wish. And don't ever use the word want. And don't ever use the word can't. And don't ever use the word don't. These are the words that will set you back. They are limiting words. They are limiting beliefs. They will set you back. Let me teach you something from Proverbs. Proverbs 3:13 says, blessed are those who find wisdom, those who gain understanding. This is exactly what Torah is saying right now to you. The same HaAzinu is saying, it says here, give ear, O you Shemaim, O you heavens, and I will speak and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. This is actually talking about the subconscious. This is actually talking about you. It's actually talking about your internal kingdom of God, how you get there. It says, my doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall drip as the dew, as a small rain upon the tender herb and as the showers upon the grass, because I will publish the name of Yahweh. Now, understand what publish the name of Yahweh means. It's not like you put up some board, in a housing estate and say, oh, blessed is Yahweh, or in a synagogue or in some church. This is not what it's talking about. Publish the name of Yahweh actually means that you, maybe even in your closet, you go and you say the sounds that I taught you, and you are publishing the name of Yahweh. See, most people think it's talking about pronunciation. Oh, how do I pronounce Yahweh? Is it Yehovah? Is it Yahweh? Is it Yahweh? Is it Yahweh? What is it? You see, a lot of people arguing and still fighting about that. It's none of those. It's none of those. When you publish the name of Yahweh, you're connecting to source energy. You're connecting to power. You do that privately. You don't do that publicly, by the way. You do it privately in your back room where you sit, where you chant your sounds and your ma sounds and your ya sounds. That's where you're doing it. That's where you're publishing it. The Kabbalists already know that. So it's not like something that they don't know. The Jews already know how to do that. So we're already aware of these things. But only thing is that nobody was here to teach you. But now you know how. See, when Proverbs says that it says that blessed are those who find wisdom. And what is wisdom? Wisdom is Chokhmah. What is Chokhmah? Chokhmah is technically the Holy Spirit. Where does the Holy Spirit live? It lives within you. It's within your subconscious. Because that's where you make the connection to source. So, guess what? If you knew how to program your subconscious, guess what? Then you fit that verse 100%. Exactly, you fit it, because it says, blessed are those who find wisdom. Well, if you found that the subconscious is the area that connects to source, it says those who gain understanding. What is understanding? It means that you start to manifest. You start to produce. You're no longer on the I wish I could. You're not on the I wish I could list. You just drop the I wish I could list bowl. You no longer have to wish anything. Now you will be producing it. Just like I told you, just like I put a little BMW on my little desk. I'm no longer in the wishing game. I produced it. So, it's there. The physical product is there. They went to the home of my relatives with the BMW. They went to visit. And I asked my relative, I said, what did you see? She said, I saw a black BMW, beautiful. I said, okay, that is the car that they offered me. So the car has been verified by at least one person, eyewitness account. So it's not just a joke, So I was saying that, yep, they did tell me about that car, and now you've seen it? She said, I saw it. So I said, you see it with your own eyes? I saw it with my own eyes. I said, okay, that's my car. So that was that. So the point is this, that is, sitting there, and it parked up nicely in a nice house, and it's there for the taking. Baruch Hashem. I'm delighted. I'm very happy about it. To me, it's not so much the car, it's the act, because I've driven cars in my life. It's not like I've never driven a BMW. I've driven BMWs, but it's just that it's just nice to know that you can use your tools and techniques, and the powers that we serve will provide. That's as simple as that. And so this is why I was saying to my friend that you need to change your outlook. That friend has been trying to manifest for over a year now. They have manifested diddly squat, unfortunately. Now I say that, a little mildly, because it is sad though in a way, because I say to her that, she has a dream to go to America, and I tell her that her dream to go to America is possible. It's available. Don't give up on your dream. Don't think it's not going to happen, but you got to use your tools and techniques properly. When you use your tools and techniques, American dream will become a reality. So a lot of people today, they like to dream, and there's nothing wrong with dreaming. You should dream big, and you will achieve. But if you just dream and don't act, you see, you got to dream and act. These are the two parts to it, moving parts. You dream and you act. You can't just dream and not act. You must act. Now, whether that action means you're going to write a script on it, or whether it means you're going to imagine it every day, or whether it means you're going to, maybe a third method, maybe you're going to, write it on your index card and speak it out to the north, whatever, one of those things you got to do. You see, if your life is going downhill, you must ask yourself that question: why is my life going downhill? What is it that I'm doing wrong? You see, you as an intelligent human being, you need to ask yourself that. Yeah, absolutely, Rabbi Kefa. You must dream and believe the dream and act on it. Because remember, execution is key. Torah is all about execution. I said to the people over here, those Christians and those other people who claim to be in the Torah, I told them, I said, our fast is not about hunger strike. It's about gratitude. And when you understand that point, you'll stop becoming, hunger makers. You'll start becoming fulfilled. Problem is that most people look at religion as just another outlet to vent their frustrations. What do people do when they go to church? Groveling before the cross, groveling before Jesus. Well, what do people do when they go to the synagogue? They wrap a tallit and they, put their tefillin on, and they're groveling before God. Hashem, do this, and Hashem, help me with this. But it's not about that. It's not about groveling to God. You have the connection to source energy within. You can connect to source energy right from where you sit in your home. You don't need to go to a synagogue, and you don't need to go to church, you don't need to go no building. So you can connect right at your own place to source energy. And God is willing to meet you. They say God will meet you halfway. No, I don't believe that. God will meet you 100% of the way. You take 2 steps, God will take 5 steps before you. But you got to meet with source energy. You see, we can call it source energy, we can call it universe, we can give it any name you want to. Whatever name suits you is fine by me. Because we're not here to preach religion. But my point is this, that Israel has been given a way to live, a way to act, a way to acquire, a way to manifest. And perfect law is perfect. It's absolutely perfect. But question is, are we willing to put it to the application? Are we willing to do that? And I think where most people falter is not that the perfect law, is difficult to execute. They falter because they don't believe in it with the whole heart. They don't apply it. They don't execute it fully. That's why they fail. And when they fail, they might fail one time and they become depressed and they give up too soon. They give up too soon. When you fail, you got to ask yourself question is, what did I do wrong? You got to fix that wrong and you got to try again. Fix that wrong and try again. You will get there. You will get there. But, like Thomas Edison, 1,000 tries. He got there in the end. And his name is written in history. And people say, oh no, there was another person who'd invented the bulb. He was of Italian descent or something. But he never completed the experiment. So his name was not etched in history of invention of the light. So maybe, if we had carried out the full force, maybe if he had gone through his invention and Thomas Edison didn't pick up on it, then yes, he would have been the man written in history, that he's the man who did the actual job. I read about that the actual invention of the bulb initially started with somebody else, but Thomas Edison is the one that picked up on it and ran with it. He executed his plan. So Thomas Edison became successful. So again with you, you all have the perfect law. Those of you execute it. Those of you run with the plan. Those of you will succeed. And those of you just listen to it, and maybe with half heart you might apply here and there, and not really do too much, then you will not get there. But then that doesn't mean that it's not workable. It just means that you didn't execute the plan, so therefore you didn't receive the reward. The reward is for those. What does it say in New Testament? It quotes it in such words in Matthew chapter 5. The meek will inherit the earth. The meek. The meek is not talking about some beggar out there on the street, who's got a poor looking face. Meek basically means somebody who's like a lion, like a tiger. He's taming himself, and he's going to inherit means that he's going to manifest things that he desires. That's all. That's basically what it really means. That meek will inherit the earth means that those people that tame their mind, that tame their desire, and then they channel their desires in the proper way, they will inherit things in the earth. They will manifest things in the earth. Now, don't get this wrong. You're all manifesting all the time. You're all manifesting. But you might be manifesting the wrong things, like maybe negativities, might be lack, might be other things. So you have to remove those things to manifest the right things. Why we use the tools? Because we want to manifest the right things in our desires. That's why we use the tools. We don't use the tools because we are not manifestors. We are all manifestors. Now, the question is, what are you manifesting? See, some people are manifesting anger. Some people are manifesting sadness. Some people are manifesting depression. Some people are manifesting fight with their spouses. Some people are manifesting, death and destruction for themselves. Everybody is manifesting. Everybody. Everybody on this earth is manifesting something for themselves. Whether it is good, whether it is bad. Every one of you is manifesting. Now, only you can tell whether you are manifesting the right things or the wrong things. And if you're manifesting the wrong things, then you got ways to fix that. So as I described the sounds to you, as I've given you audios and meditations, the whole idea of those audios and meditations is to tame your mind, is to control it, is to redirect it so that you can receive the desires that you want. That's the whole idea that I'm directing to you. And I would apply the same techniques for myself. Exactly the same techniques for myself. Now, let me tell you something of interest. Because it's time of Yisroel. I will tell you something of interest. This is this. That during this time that your relatives died, now, their karma will affect you. Now, whatever relatives you had that lived maybe, 200 years ago, 500 years ago, you may have forgotten about them. You may have a great-great-great-grandfather somewhere, or a great-great-great-grandmother somewhere down the line. Those people's karma, they are the ones that are coming to you. They are the ones that are manifesting in your life. If you are a poor person today, it's not because you did something wrong. It's what they did that's caused you to be poor today. I was speaking to an Indian girl, and she's like talking about her being poor. And I told her, never ever say that you are poor. Never ever use that term again. I said, the reason why you're poor is not because you did something wrong. I said, it's because your ancestors, whatever they did, their karma is coming to you, to a house near you, and you are being affected in this life. So I said, what you have to do is you have to do a ceremony in which you remove that karma and you change it. So therefore, that karma, when it changes back there, then they will come to you in a new way. That you will get the better karma, not the worse karma that you're getting. You won't be poor any longer. Your life will start to change. Maybe you'll meet a nice man, maybe something else, and suddenly your poverty will disappear. So I said, poverty is not permanent. And poverty is not because you did some sins and you became poor. No, I said it's because of your elders. Whoever your elders were, whatever they did, that karma is coming to you. Because, it's reincarnation. People people die and people are born, and they're reborn. And so I said, when they are reborn, you need to fix their karma to fix yours. Yes, it might be called a generational curse in the English term, although I don't use that term, but it's similar, yeah. It's a generational curse. And so what we do is we remove that karma. Yisroel is perfect for that. I do a ceremony. You remember I did a ceremony where I take an offering of a lamb equivalent, and what we do is we use that for your father, against in your father's name, to remove your karma, to finish it, so that it stops with you. It doesn't carry on from you to your children and so on. We do that. Why? Because we are transforming the karma of the person behind you. Maybe 2 generations, maybe 3 generations. The Torah says 4 generations will affect you. So, if 4 generations will affect you, we have a chance to reset that karma, so that when we change that karma, what we do is as a Kohen, I forgive their sins. I forgive their sins, and I say to them that you will not carry any ill will towards your ancestors in the future. So as you rise up, you bless your ancestors. Yehundi's Cameroon is saying that he's reaping the benefits from that ritual because he already did it. So what you do with this ritual is, normally I tell my students that they need to send an equivalent money to the offering of a lamb. And what then I do, I take their ancestor's name, the father, the grandfather, and then I usually the father or the grandfather, and then I apply that technique, and what I have to do as a Kohen is to forgive their sins and make them ascend the next level, and say to them, as you're ascending, forgive the sins of your future ancestors if they've done any wrongs in their previous lives, because you might have lived before, and if you've done any wrong against them, I said, remove that and bless them as you rise up and go your merry way. That's how we do that ceremony. So therefore, that's basically what happens. There's a very similar ceremony to that in the Hindu side as well, by the way. A very similar ceremony to that. And they do a very similar thing during this time of the year to do almost exactly the same thing, but they don't do it with a lamb, they do it with other stuff. But having said that, my point is that it's doable. It does change your ancestry's outlook. It removes their sin that's holding them back. It ascends them, and they then bless you as they go. And guess what happens? The karma changes. Because the karma you inherited from them, if it's for poverty, that will disappear. Because I would say to them to leave abundance for your relatives. Bless them with abundance, not with poverty. Bless them with abundance. Forgive them if they've done anything wrong in their life, in the previous lives. And you rise up as well, and I forgive your sins, and I raise you up. So that's how we do. Similar to that, that's how we do the ceremony. It's a back and forth ceremony. Usually the value of a lamb is between $200 to $300. But look, between $200 to $300. Think what happens. Your whole life can change with that one little ceremony. That's how good it is. But other than that, what would happen? You would be, under the karma of your ancestors that will be affecting you, your life, your job, your health, your prosperity. Everything is being affected until somebody like me comes along and says, no, we need to change this. You can change it. Yes, you can change it. So, this idea that Christianity told people that you can do nothing for the dead is absolutely rubbish. It's not true. You can't do much for the dead. In fact, the dead, if you change their karma, then they will change your karma. Because the dead are technically not dead. They're just not visible to us. They are still, in the netherworld. They're still out there. Their souls are there. And their souls are going to be regenerated. They're going to reincarnate in the future, and then the future, and so on and so forth. People don't stop, from Rabbi Kefa. Rabbi Kefa is a man over here, at his death, he won't stop. He'll continue to live, but he won't be seen by the people in this world. Then he'll come back. Then he'll come back as a baby, as another baby. And then he will live in that baby's body. And then who knows how long that will go? Who knows how many generations we're talking about? I was reading about somebody who claimed to have lived 69 generations. So the point is, I don't know how many generations people live, but they live many generations. You have been in this earth before. I can assure you, none of you are here the first time. All of you are here many, many times before. So, now that is absolutely a fact. That's a fact that you've been here before. And you come in this earth now, maybe some of you born in America, some of you born in Britain, some of you born in France. Wherever you are born, you have been here before. Your ancestors, you connect to your ancestors. And if your ancestors have done wrong things, then they pass on those things to you, and they affect your life. So, try to understand that the Torah is here as a blessing for us, as a guide, as a certain mechanism that we use to benefit and bless our lives. That's why the Torah is here. The priesthood is here to bless you. The priesthood's function in its entirety, if you think about it, was to bless the people of Israel and to rectify the relationship between man and God. That's what the priesthood was there for. The priesthood had no other function. It wasn't there for some, other stuff. The whole purpose was just that. So you got to think about it. Think about what I'm doing over here and why I'm here and what's the purpose. That is the purpose for Israel. To bless Israel, to lift them up, to remove negative karma, to bring in positive karma, to bless their lives, to free them from this karmic chain that they are stuck in, generation after generation. Maybe one disease runs in your family every generation, one illness, maybe businesses for you. Some of you see this in your previous generation, or the business failed for my grandfather, or my business failed too. Why? It's a generational It's a karma thing. It's what Christians refer to as generational curses. But the way Christians want to remove the generational curse, it doesn't get removed like that. So you need to understand what the job of the Kohen is. Our job is actually to change your karma in a coming future, present and future. That you're through source energy, connecting back to God, and then to remove the karma or stop it at its track, and then to change it around. And voila, like magic, things will start to improve. You start to get better jobs. You start to get better opportunities. And you suddenly say, oh, wow, things have suddenly changed. So that's another way to benefit from abundance in your life and prosperity. So I think that I've kind of gone on enough, and I probably said a lot, and you need to absorb this. You need to understand, maybe you need to listen to this lecture 2-3 times, what I just said. And again, blessed are those who find wisdom, those who gain understanding. Proverbs 3:13, if you want to be blessed, try to understand where you are and start using the tools you've been given. And there's no such thing as you can't get there. You can, and you will. But you must execute. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Rabbi Kefa. Have a great Shabbat. And also, if you're going to do the festival, have a great festival ahead. Chag Sameach. And may this be a beginning of a tremendous and happy and blessed new year for you. Shem Yahweh. Take care of yourselves. Shabbat Shalom.
To Rabbi HaKohen, if I can be heard, can I get a 1? I would like to remind you as well, don't go to any of our festivals empty-handed. Make sure you do the necessaries for yourself and for your families as well going forward. And remember that, our festivals are forever. We may not be in Israel, but our festivals are forever. We don't need to be in Israel to continue on with the Torah. Torah doesn't need to be in Israel, by the way. And Torah is wherever we are. Wherever the Kohen is, that's where the Torah is, and then wherever the family of Israel is, and that's where the Torah is. Please mark that and really understand that going forward. What a great lecture, HaKohen. I tell you, what a brilliant lecture. And I tell you, understanding, and you know what, I want to start off by saying, I'm so happy. I'm so happy for you, HaKohen, because, you have instructed us a while. You have instructed me personally to do the same thing with my cars. I'm looking at my cars now. Baruch Hashem. And I'm so happy, because, I understand that the perfect law, I see a lot of things being, a close student to the Kohen. I see a lot of things, and I'm just super happy that I see and I understand that the perfect law is real. It's real. It's reality on the ground. And I wrote something down that HaKohen said in his lecture that I want to just reiterate and kind of hone in on. You may hear a lot of R words today, but he said to rectify the relationship between mankind and powers or universe or God, however you want to call it, is the primary job, primary function of a Kohen, a son of Aaron. Well, the primary function is to rectify the relationship. You can hear a lot of R words. Rectify the relationship between, I'm going to say people and powers, because when I say mankind, I don't want to leave womankind out. You know what I mean? So, to rectify the relationship between people and powers. I mean, my goodness. And I don't know about you, but if you being at the feet of the Kohen haven't seen a better relationship with you and God, power, source, energy, however you want to coin presence, then you may want to move on. But if you have, then I would encourage you to continue to press on, family. Press on and meet your marks. And when one mark is checked off, go to the next. Because I guarantee you, just like Kohen told you, there's just not one little car sitting on his desk. There's more than one. And so, what is that? A sign of multiplicity, not about dividing. Not like Kohen talked about with the Benz and with the BMWs to take it and just to divide it and have let me just take it and resell it and get some profits off of it, this, that, the other, and the third. That's division. We don't operate with the mindset of division. And when you assess your lives, I think it's very important for us all. When we assess our lives, we really have to look at, do we have the mentality of multiplicity or the mentality of division? What is our mentality? And you can tell that by how you think and how you respond to things, how you act and how you react. You can really tell this, and this would be a good assignment to examine self. Examine self. As you all know, right now we're in the process of self-examination as we usher in Yom Kippurim. Self-examination. So another great test. I'm so happy for you, Kohen, because I understand and I know that as a student of the Kohen, I know that perfect law is it. You're home. You don't need to search and go somewhere else, but you can if you feel that your needs are not met, or you feel like maybe there's something out there that's better. Because I guarantee you, and I'm pretty sure everyone in this room knows someone who was here at one time in this form that's no longer here. You know what I mean? Because they thought, and they had a belief that there was something better for them out there. And if that's the case, then so be it. I'm not going to cry crocodile tears over that. Matter of fact, I'm going to be happy for you, because my desire is that you find your happy place and that you be glad. You be glad in that happy place. And if you need more assistance in the gladness area, I would encourage you just to read the Psalms. Talks a lot about gladness. Out of all the books in our history, out of all the books and what they know of as the Bible, if you want encouragement, if you want to empower yourself in that area, then read the book of Psalms. It'll really empower you with gladness and gratitude and thanks. It really is powerful. Really, really is powerful. I tell you what, my mother is moving into a new apartment. She's moving on up like the Jeffersons, Baruch Hashem. She's not settling at her young age, 70-something odd years young. She's not settling for where she is. She's moving on up to an apartment. So I sent her our placards with the Ten Commandments, the copper plates, and I also sent her the Psalm 23. I tell you, she was so happy to get that because she loves the Ten Commandments. And she told me, son, if I just follow the Ten Commandments, then I'm all right. I'm like, well, Baruch, and I say, hey, well, praise God, Mom. If that makes you happy, hey, then Ten Commandments are coming your way. In Jesus' language, as in the language of Jesus, because she loves Jesus. So I tell her in Jesus' language, in the Hebrew language. So she's totally happy with that. So it's all about finding our happy place and exhibiting and putting yourself in a position of gladness and of being glad. And so what I want to continue to talk about, especially this week, this has really been on my heart as we come up on Yom Kippurim, is I really want to focus on this word that came to me this week, that's been with me this week as I've been meditating on this word. And the word, and I want to bring the word out to the family and get your thoughts on what does this word mean to you. And you can say it in a phrase or in a one-word response, however you want to put it. But when I say the word control, what does that mean to you, family? When I say the word control, what does that mean to you? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the word control? When you hear somebody say control, what does that mean to you, family? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up. Eddie says, now it's discipline. Okay, control. But for Eddie's, is discipline. Okay. Ohio 5 says not free. Oliver, Vive la France says power. Control. What does that mean to you? Adia says to take on. Well, what does control mean to you? I've really been meditating on this word this week. It's all about control. It's about control. And then it brought me to another question that I asked myself is do I have control? And as students of human nature, as you examine people, you need to understand is that what you need to understand is as you examine folks is you need to ask the question for them is, do they have control? Do they really have control? And you may not even talk to the individual, but you just look and you examine what they do and their actions, like Akoin talked about. It's all about, do you act like you have control? Are your actions conducive of a person that has control? You know what I mean? Devorah says, having your way. Yael 110 says, who's in charge? Well, let's go. I'm going to pull something out of the American dictionary here. Actually, I'm going to use the Oxford Languages Dictionary and give that definition of what they say control means. The power to influence. Let me stop right there. Oxford goes on, and languages definition goes on to tell us that control means the power to influence. Wow, that kind of caught my eye there. The power to influence. Now, I want you all to understand something, family. As I am understanding and continuing to evolve in my understanding, powers is awesome, right? Power is important. You must have power. It's important that you have power. It's vital that you have power. You must have, now whatever level of power, that's a whole nother story, because we all at different levels. I'm not at the level of power that Hakoin has, and I never will be. And I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn last night either. But I'll never be at that level of power, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But we must see power as like a suit, or like a nice dress, or whatever your favorite wardrobe is. And so when you put it on, you want it to fit and you want it to feel comfortable. How many of you ever purchased or you got a shirt as a gift and it didn't fit right? Or a pair of jeans as a gift and it didn't fit right? You put it on and it just didn't have that right feel. Anybody have experienced that before? Or you got like a piece of wardrobe. Somebody gave it to you, or you even purchased it yourself. Maybe you purchased it online, and then when it comes in the box, it shows up from Jeff Bezos' Amazon, and you put it on, and you realize, man, this thing, I'm not comfortable in it. It just doesn't. I don't feel comfortable. You see, you know, we all have to see power the same way. You have to put on the power suit, put on the power dress, put on the power jeans, and you have to feel comfortable with it. You know what I mean? It's like tailor-made just for you. You know what I mean? I remember when I was in the military, we used to have a lot of folks, a lot of military guys, they would go to Korea, and women, and they would come back and tell stories about, oh man, I went to Korea and I took this picture out of GQ magazine of this suit that I wanted, and I got this suit made, tailor-made suit made, this expensive Gucci suit made for $20 in Korea. How many of you heard stories like that before? This is actually true. I mean, the Koreans have this ability of just taking something and replicating it. You know, it's sort of like an Eastern thing, where they can just take something, you take them a picture, and they can replicate that like no man's business, and make it look almost just like the original. So what you need to understand is this very same thing, is that, you know, we have to get a tailor-made fit suit of powers that it's just for us, that fits us just right, to where you're comfortable and you can maneuver. Not that you're going to raise your right hand, Oliver, and then, you know, the sleeves on the shirt going to tear. You know what I mean? Are you going to get a quick yawn, Adelia, and, you know, the dress is going to fall off of you, you know, because it don't fit right, you know what I mean? So you want it to be able to fit properly. You want to be comfortable within your own power suit, if I may use that type of terminology. Because guess what? You all have that type of power suit. And if you go back to Bereshith, and when it talks about Adam in the garden with Ha'ava, with Lilith in the garden, it talks about that they realized that they were naked all of a sudden. But before, they didn't realize it, because they had this, like, remember lectures a while back, I talked about it being like a force field around them, you know what I mean, if you can describe it that way. They had like this shield of like a power, like a power suit, like cloaked in power. Now, when you look at it, you look at power, and if you ever had anything electronic, and maybe even like your computer, your laptop computer, or maybe even like another particular kind of device that uses power that you have to take it and charge it up every now. You know how to have the bars on there and it lets you know, okay, well, your power's at this level, or now you're at this level, or you're at full capacity, and blah blah blah. Go down the line. The same way with our power suit. Sometimes we need to power up, and sometimes maybe our power isn't at the level where it needs to be, or sometimes we may be at a negative charge where we need to charge up. And Baruch Hashem, all thanks to the Kohen and the Gay Rabbi Simon Alteb, it really, I really didn't understand power until recently. Until recently, I really had an understanding of what power really is. And I don't have to go look for power, but I have the power. I have the power. But my power suit just it was just in the red. It needed charge. Matter of fact, it hadn't been charged for years. Oh boy! But once you get it in middle of full capacity, oh man, I'm fully operational. And I realize that there's nothing that I desire that I cannot have. Whatever I desire for myself, I can have it. Whatever my dreams are reality. Not what they say your dreams can become reality. No, your dreams are reality. Not that they can become, because then that takes you down the rabbit hole, the slippery slope of what? Oh man, I wish that could become true. Right? Man, I sure wish I had that car. I sure wish I was living like the Joneses. Well, keep on wishing. Go down that wishing well, and it's what? It's infinite. You can just keep going down it, and you because you focus so much on wish, you never charge up your power suit. Your power suit is never charged. You don't even know where to begin. You don't have the tools to understand. Okay, well, I need to power up. You got to understand, when we talk about control, power is in the wheelhouse, right? We must have the power to control. And even this definition that we're getting right out of the Oxford Languages Dictionary, the power to influence. Listen to the definition that they give in the Oxford Languages Dictionary. The power to influence or direct people's behavior or course of events. My goodness. Jael 1:10 says, who's in charge? Having it your way, says a Devorah. To take on. And Oliver said he just called it power. You're in control, you got the power. The power to influence or direct people's behavior or course of events. Control. How many of you, with that definition that was given by the Oxford Languages Dictionary, how many of you want to leave that in the hands of somebody else? Or let me put it this way. How many of you at one time or another left control in the hands of somebody else outside of yourself? I'll put up a capital C on that one. Well, lowercase. That was, at one time, I tell you, for the majority of my life, I would say, I fully understood. Remember how Cohen talked about when you understand what wisdom, when you really understand what wisdom is all about, the imhokmah, when you really begin to understand, when you understand wisdom. My goodness, we all just spring chickens, right, Mishpah? But for many, many, many periods of my life, I left the control factor up to other individuals. The power to influence. So I was being influenced by other individuals. The power to direct people's behavior. Oh, man. Man, I had some women playing me like a puppet. How many of you have been there, done that, man? Well, they had played me like a puppet, influencing me here, there, and everywhere. In my relations. Oh, man, I was played like a puppet. You know how they say in 2020 terminologies, you got played. I was played up, down, front, and center, being influenced by the wiles of women. That was me personally. I'm not saying all women are like that or have that kind of behavior. that altered or changed the course of events that took place in my life. And when I look back on it, I say, wow, chalk it all up as experience, by the way. But then when you look back on it, you say, wow, if I would have just, how many of you made this statement before? If I would have knew then what I know now. It's all about understanding, right? It's all about growing and experiencing things so that you, number one, don't fall back. You don't fall back and make the same mistake twice or 3 times or 4 times over. But that you learn from the experience and you chalk it up as experience and you chalk it up as a great lesson. And then you're more keen and you're more clued up the next time the particular situation may raise its face. Because believe me, it does reoccur. How many of you understand that? The events in your life will reoccur to give you an opportunity to take a better action. You know what I mean? To perform even better. Because why? You have more tools. You're equipped more. You're more experienced. Right? So control was a big word for me this week. It was a word that it really came to me in my meditations. It was control. And in this season, our high holy days, in this season of Yom Kippur, what we need to really focus on is that control factor. Is to take control, take responsibility for control, and internalize control. You know what I mean by internalize control? Put self in it. The power to influence. Who you going to influence? You want to influence yourself. The power to direct people's behavior. What behavior do you want to influence? Your behavior to what? To act out a certain way. To demonstrate and to execute in a certain way. To direct people's behavior. I don't want to direct people. I want to direct my own behavior. That's internalizing it. I'm going to control how I'm going to think. I'm going to control and watch how I'm going to speak. And thus altering and directing the course of events that take place in my life. Who controls that? I do now. I understand that now. Be glad for the Kohen in the gate. Be glad. I understand that now. It's the responsibilities on me. I'm not going to see and point the finger at nobody else. There's no need to anymore. I'm beyond that. That's elementary. That's romper room. Now I'm in graduate school, right? We're in graduate school. We're not in romper room, elementary, preschool, kindergarten, mumbo jumbo. So I admonish the family this day, and those of you listening via YouTube as well, is to take control. Because as a student of nature, these past 6 days of labor, I began to see that there's a lot of people, Mishpachah. How many of you notice this as well? A lot of folks don't have control. They do not have control. And you know what? They are truly being what? Influenced and directed by other people's behaviors, or and being influenced and directed and taken down a course of events that maybe they didn't want to go, but because everybody else is doing it, so they're going to do it too. Not thinking for themselves. You see? Control. Control, Mishpachah. You must have control over yourself. You must understand and you must embrace control. And don't feel like you have to go out and find control. Because the control, it's internalized. It's within. And that's where that's where the battle begins. The battle begins within. And you must, take control. Because guess what? If you don't, guess who's going to take over? Ego's going to take control. The mind will take control. Your thoughts will begin to take control of you. And you just react and act on your thoughts. Or you react and act. Your heart will take control on you real quick. Oh, Rabbi, but they broke my heart. Right, well, it's okay. Your heart's still pumping. You'll be all right. You'll get over it. Take control. Your emotions will take control of. Don't be dictated by your emotions. We all in the family like to run around saying shalom and shalom and shalom. But shalom is more than just a word. Shalom is control. It's control. Because it sets the course of your events. And it influences you to have a character of peace about you. A peace that not many can understand. And I look at the example of one of my forefathers, Yeshua ben Yosef, who walked the face of this earth. And I was meditating on it. It's like, wow, you look at his life, and I tell you, you look at his life, and I'll sum up my thoughts on it. I'm like, okay, he had a short life, but when he was on the face of this earth, what was the biggest thing that people didn't like about him? Well, I mean, what was it? Well, why was there such a love-hate type relationship with Yeshua ben Yosef? And I'll tell you why. In my thoughts, is because Yeshua ben Yosef, he came at a period to set things straight. You remember how Cohen said it? He came to rectify wrongs and make things right. You see, because for so long people had been doing things the wrong way. You know what I mean? So when somebody comes in, you see, because control had influence in taking people in another direction. I mean, there's a lot of powerful people during that time in the political scene. Believe me, there was politics back then during Yeshua ben Yosef's time as well. Heavy politics, I might add. A lot of politics going on. In the temple, by the way. And so, Yeshua ben Yosef was all about the people. He didn't care about politics. And then, the politics had taken over for the position of what the Torah really stood for. So, Yeshua ben Yosef came to rectify that. To give like he said, the true intended meaning of what the Torah was supposed to be. Because Torah had been, might I say, tainted. Had been changed. The essence of what Torah stood for had totally been changed. So, when somebody comes in and ushers in something, or comes in with a different mindset, a different thought, this is why it's so important that we take control. Yeshua ben Yosef had control. He had control of himself. And he knew who he was. You couldn't tell him who he wasn't. That was his belief. Whilst most people around him were fearful or afraid of the politics of the time. And the politics had seeped into the what you would call, I guess, the religion, because that's what it was at the time. It wasn't a way of life. It had become a religion. Judaism had become a religion. It had lost its luster. And so, Yeshua ben Yosef came back to set the record straight. When he walked the face of this earth, he wanted to set the record straight. And there were those that really, Yahunan, the Baptist as they call him, he was one. That was that voice crying in the wilderness. That, hey, Torah is this, this Torah that is quote unquote popular, or being populated amongst the masses, is not, it's fake and it's phony and it's false and will have nothing to do with it. And there were others. But at the time, and it's the same way during this time, when you come with a different mindset than what the mainstream is saying, then you're almost intimidated to where you don't speak or you don't say anything, and you just let things take place, just to let things take place, because you too fearful to say anything that might go against what's popular or what consensus think is how you need to carry on. And how the course of your events are going to take place. You see, that's not having control. When you leave the course of events for your life in the hands of someone else, or in some society, or in some group. And so this is why Yeshua ben Yosef was always popular amongst the people, because he was all about the people. He was all about the people. Someone, will you please post YouTube for HaKohen's past and today's discourses today, please? I lost connection. I don't know. You posted on YouTube. They're always posted on YouTube. Somehow after the broadcast. Tadaf for that, HaKohen. They're always there. You can go seek them out under Sim Out on YouTube. You'll find them there. No worries. They're always there. So it's very, very important that we understand that. Is that I want control. I don't know about you, but I have control. And it's not that I want it, I have control. Because just like HaKohen taught in his lecture, if you want something, then, you're on the wishing well side of things. No, you have control. You have complete control. Control is very important. HaKohen mentioned something to me in speaking this week as well, these past 6 days of labor, that I thought was thought-provoking and definitely an action that needs to take place. I don't know if this is happening in other countries, but I will tell you this. HaKohen, I don't know if you know this as well, that today there's a National Day of Prayer that's happening at the Washington, D.C., somewhere, I think at one of the monuments there, a national day where a whole bunch of folks of the religions are going to come together and they're going to pray. They're going to pray. HaKohen mentioned something in these past 6 days of labor that I found very interesting. And he also talked about during one of the past lectures as well. You remember him talking about that there needs to be like a global repentance and coming together to stave off the plague that's called the COVID or whatever they're calling it these days. Do you remember that lecture? You remember him mentioning that in the lecture? That collectively humanity needs to come together and they need to cry out to powers. Now, I don't know about other countries, but guess what? The religions here in North America today, they're coming together and they want to pray. They're praying, for the plague amongst other things, but for peace. Now, however they do it, they call them powers, God, blah, blah, whatever they call him. But there is a collective coming together. And there are people that are out there that understand is that, if you truly want control, you got to connect into power. You want the power to influence, you better be charged up and connected to source in some kind of way at whatever, we're talking about levels, at whatever level your power suit is. Kudos to these religions. At least they know to look in this fashion outside of themselves. At the same time, by looking within. We call it meditation. They call it prayer. But at least they are reaching out to powers, to source, for assistance and direction and help. And help to stave off this plague, because believe it or not, HaKohen mentioned to you, countries are again, contemplating some type of shutdown in some way, shape, form, or fashion. How many of you are seeing that in your country, your particular country? It's starting to kind of shut things down again because the numbers of this COVID, they start to spike and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. So everybody is trying to do like a mini, shutdown is happening. That's true for human nature. You need to be following what's going on around the world because it is happening. Germany, out of all places, they're forming some kind of little shutdown now. Italy again, they're going to start shutting things down again, telling people stay home. You heard HaKohen said the UK is doing the same thing. Watch for these things. Be watchful. Be mindful. But at the same time, during this period of what we celebrate Yom Kippur, my goodness. Remember I talked about we're going to throw out a lot of R words today. rectify the relationship between people and powers. But again, how can we rectify a relationship between people and powers? And that's not our role, that's the Kohen's role. But how can we rectify the relationship? Let me tell you how. By taking control and rectifying the relationship with ourselves first. You see, because we want to reconcile. Let's open up some of the Torah for a minute. Let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 29. I'll read from the Abrahamic-Faith Bible, or you may know it as the Hidden Truth Reversed Scrolls. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 29. Listen to what Moshe is saying. Now, Moses, he's going to leave you with a song. He's going to leave the family with a song, and then he's going to die. He left him with a song, Baruch Hashem. Left him with a song, and then he's going to die. He's going to go sleep with his fathers. But Moses says this, "For I know that after my death you will utterly corrupt yourselves and turn aside from the way which I have commanded you. And evil will befall you in the latter days, because you will do evil in the sight of Yahweh, and provoke him to anger through the works of your what? Of your hands. Not of your mind, of your hands." This is why it's important that we come back and we take control about what we're doing. What are you doing? Well, when you don't have control, you don't know what to do, right? And that was me for a very long time. I was told what to do by a lot of people who didn't even have control. I was just a parent, just going, okay, well, Pastor said do this, so I'm just going to do it. Through the work of our hands. Number one, I didn't even know who I was. I didn't have control over who I was. Oh, you're African American. Okay, I'm African American. Oh, you're black. Okay, I'm black. You know what I mean? I just, how many of you are with me on this? You just went along with you. Okay, all right. If that's what you say, all right, cool. So be it. I never did question that. You African American? Okay, so what? Yeah, I'm African American. That's what they say. That's what the census says. The census says, yeah, you're African American. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. To provoke him to anger through the works of your own hands. Now Moses is telling Musa, he's telling the family, look, you guys, when I die, you guys gonna corrupt yourself. After all this stuff that we done been through together, you're gonna corrupt yourself. Let's go further. Let's go on even further. Because again, let me tell you one thing about Moses is that he was a realist. and you don't get that too much in these times. You don't get realists. You get a lot of people that are in fantasy land. I tell you, I was watching one of President Trump's his little rallies, right? And a commercial came on, and it said, "Do you know if you're going to heaven?" Did you haven't even saw that commercial yet? Do you know if you're going to heaven? Do you know there's a way that you can guarantee that you're going to heaven? I'm like, what the heck? Yeah. And I was like, wow. And it was just like this little quiet voice. Do you know? Do you know if you're going to heaven? Do you know that there's a way? Do you know that there's a way to make sure that you get into heaven? I'm like, what the heck? But again, at one time, that was me. Out of control. I had no control. So I had to have other people tell me if I was going to go to heaven and how I'm going to go to heaven. And if there is if there's a hell, there's got to be a heaven, right? That's what that's what you think. You know what I mean? And there's commercials about this stuff. I'm like, oh me. And I can tell how if you don't have control, you'd be dialing that number quicker than quick. Make sure, stay tuned on how you can know that you're going to heaven. I'm like, oh my goodness. So my question would be right now, where you at now? You know what I mean? Where you at like right now? Deuteronomy, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 20. It goes on to say, and he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be, for they are a very perverse generation, children in whom there is no faith. Children in whom there is no faith. I typed this in earlier during our Queen's lecture. You can have all the dreams that you want to have, But if you don't believe your dreams, you can hang it up. If you don't believe in your dream and go out and just like we're told to do and execute how you've been taught. I mean, this is execution with what? With dividends. This is execution with material and physical production. This is execution that produces. Not just some high spy in the sky, blah, blah, blah. But you see the work of your hands because you believe in the work of your hands. You understand what I'm saying? So it becomes real. I mean, Moses, the ultimate realist. Reality check 1,000 for the Hebrews. He's telling them, look, I'm going to die and you guys are going to corrupt yourselves. You're going to turn away. Thus, Powers is going to hide his face from you because you hide your face from Powers. I just found my face recently. Be glad for the Kohen in the gate. I have found my face. How many of you know what I'm talking about when I say I found my face? My face was lost because I was outside trying to find my face in other people's faces. you know what I mean? But I found my face. The whole time I'd been searching for my face. I haven't, because, like Moses said, God, I want to see your face. But I realized that my face is God's face. How many of you realize that now? That your face is God's face. But I'm out here looking for God. Show me your face. Show me your face. Show me your face. Well, all I had to do was look at a mirror. Our Kohen taught me, look, it's the man in the mirror. Staring right back at you saying, what do you want? You can have it. You know what I mean? Baruch Hashem. So what you see here played out is just karma on top of karma. You turn aside from the way which I command you, then the powers of Israel will turn his face. He will hide his face from you in Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 20. I will hide my face from them, and I will see what their end shall be. For they are a perverse nation, a perverse generation, children in whom there is no faith, no belief. You got to believe. And what helps, if you have a low belief suit on, you know how you have the power suit? You have the belief suit. Man, you got a whole closet, a wardrobe of just awesome suits that you could put on. You got to power up. You know how you power up your belief? You write it down. You visualize it. You speak it. You hear it over and over again. And guess what? That cannot help but recharge and charge your belief system. To where I don't care if people could, huckle and chuckle at you because of you wear some weird shirt or you have some weird tattoo on you or, you saying these weird things that will never have. Because you have this model little toy car on your desk, they can huckle and chuckle all they want. But that's not going to shake your belief system because you have control. That's not going to, they won't say this of you, oh, you a little faith. No, you got loads of faith. And you demonstrate it, and you say it, and you speak it, and you see it every day, and you write it. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 21. For they have moved me to jealousy with El. They have enraged me with anger with their futilities. And I will move them to jealousy with those that are not a people. And I will provoke them to anger with a nation that is slow to learn. You see, all you see here played out in Torah is, if you can see it, those that are wise will see it and understand, this is just karma, right? How many of you see karma and what's going on right here? Powers of Israel saying, okay, you're going to make me jealous? I'm going to make you jealous. This is karma. You're going to turn away from me? I'm going to turn away from you. Karma. What you do to others is going to happen to you. Karma. So I don't understand why so many of these groups, so-called groups on YouTube and Hebrew groups, are mad at the Jews. You shouldn't be. When you read Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 21, you realize, oh, okay. So you put another people in our place. Okay, that's groovy. It was also what? It's also prophesied by Moses that it was going to happen. So don't be surprised. Why are you all up in arms? When a whole different people have taken your place and they're productive and they're wealthy and they're running countries and they're part of the world, the world order, and they're inventors and they have great businesses. Why are we surprised? Or I don't know what that movie was I was watching. Was it 300? One of those movies. No, it was Gladiator. I think it was Gladiator. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Are you not surprised? Why are you surprised? You shouldn't be surprised. You should not be surprised, Ms. Bob. You get all these people mad about the converts in a way that may not be biological Israel, but they sure look like Israel today. And I will move them to jealousy with those who are not a people. And I will provoke them to anger with a nation that is slow to learn. Look at verse 26 of Deuteronomy chapter 32. And I said, I will scatter them into the corners, and I will make the remembrance of them to cease from amongst men. My goodness, I've been watching documentaries on the Jews. Well, my wife has been watching them. I go in there and she's watching documentaries on the Jews. And I'm like, honey, why do they show all of these pictures of the Jews as they paint them as like white people? And all of these ancient pictures, these people are all Caucasian people. Are you not entertained? And it made me realize, do you not understand? You do now. I know why, and I understand. I understand. Don't get angry, YouTubers. Moses prophesied that this would happen, and it's happening just like Moses prophesied that it would happen. And these people are just so successful. The Jews. They're successful. They came in and they took our spot. They took our place. And that's okay. Because we were told that it was going to happen. We were told. How many of you right now are scattered to the corners? How many of you are scattered into the corners? How many of you? Put up a capital C if you say, I'm scattered to the corners. How many of you are scattered to the corners? Come on. How many of you are scattered to the corners? I'm in there. I'm scattered to the corners. That's me. You're talking about me. I'm scattered to the corners. We've been scattered to the corners, Mishpahah. We're not in the land. I would scatter them into the corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from amongst men. Oh, man. They look at me and they say, you're a Jew? How many of you get that as well? You're Jewish? You're a Jew? Oh, you don't remember me, do you? How many of you get that as well? Oh, you don't remember me, do you? Hey, but I tell you what, our Kohen will tell you too. In the East, oh yeah, we know you people. We know who you are. The East has remembrance for you. The further away you get from the East, the remembrance factor gets quite high. You want to talk about levels? The remembrance level gets quite low then, because they don't remember. Oh, you're a Jew? How are you a Jew? You don't remember, do you? Right? Because I will make the remembrance of them to cease from amongst men. Men don't know who you are. You don't have to persuade them either, Mishpahah. You just go on and do what a Jew is supposed to do. And that's lift up and publish this Torah. live a happy life. And that's what we're going to next. Look at Deuteronomy chapter 32, verses 43. Be glad, O Shemaim. Be glad. Be glad. And I would encourage you all this day, the same thing, is to be glad. Be glad. They don't remember you amongst men? Be glad. Be glad. Naomi, Shabbat Shalom to you. Be glad, O Shemaim, with him, and let all the heavenly sons pay homage to him. Be glad, O Goyim, O nations, with his people, and let all the Melechim of Elohim prevail for him. For he will avenge the blood of his sons and take revenge and repay the enemies with a sentence. And he will repay those who hate. And the Adonai, the Lord, the Master, shall cleanse the land of his people. Baruch Hashem. Contrary to what you've been told in the YouTube forums, some of these YouTube forums, it's not time for us to pick up arms. Definitely not time for us to protest, seek reparations. Another R word. We don't want to seek reparations. We're not here to seek reparations. Because we understand that the powers of Israel, he will avenge. He will take revenge. And he will repay the enemies with a sentence. All those who you may consider enemy to you, who hate you, who despise you, who do all kind of manner of wickedness against you, don't. You're recording as well. Okay, I'm back. Check out that. Yeah. So for all of those who may despise you, who may hate you for whatever reason, don't. Okay. All right. Here we go, Mishpah. For all those who may despise you and hate you for whatever reason, and jealous of you, don't seek revenge. You don't have to do that. You don't have to look for reparations from the government. You don't have to hate the government that you're in because you haven't been dealt a fair shake and blah 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 and blah blah blah. Whatever whatever finger pointing you want to do, stop it, because we're told right there in our books that the revenge and avenging will take place by the powers of Israel. The end, full stop, period. For those of you who see you as your enemy, you don't have to. You don't have to go out and try to retaliate. Another R word. No retaliating required or necessary. Those things will be dealt with in due time. Yes, we're scattered to the corners, but also we're promised as well, and it's prophesied as well, is that we will be what? We will be rescued. We'll be redeemed. You see, we'll be reconciled to the God that we serve. And one of the key things and one of the most important things with that reconciliation is, first of all, is we must reconcile with who? With ourselves first. If we don't reconcile with ourselves, how are we going to reconcile with God? If we don't restore ourselves, how are we going to restore ourselves to powers, to source? It can't happen. And this is what a lot of folks on YouTube and all these other, groups under the umbrella, quote unquote, of the Torah, this is where they miss it. This is the reconciliation part. They want reparation, they want retaliation, but they don't want reconciliation with self. You see, they don't want to repair self and do it in the spirit of this Yom Kippur. This is where it all starts. Is first we must reconcile with ourselves so that our relationship with powers can be restored through who? Through the Kohanim, through the sons of Aaron or son of Aaron. Rabbi Simon Altaf indicate that's how it happens. That is the restoration. That is the reconciliation. And it's not just for Israel. Yeah, it is for Israel, but it's for anybody else who wants to come in. Lottie-dottie and says, "Ooh, man, this government you guys serve is just right and fair. How can I be a part? How can I be a partaker? How can I use the perfect law? How can I take control of my life instead of being manipulated and controlled like a puppet?" You know what I mean? This is reality 101. We're seeing it played out right now. Was I surprised when I would say I'm Jewish? I'm a Jew, And people would look at me like I was alien. I'm totally not. Because I see what Moses said. I realized that we would be forgotten. And another people would come in and take our place. And so when you watch all this historical stuff about Jews, on YouTube, and you wonder, well, why isn't there people of color? Why are all these people Caucasian? Goes back to the verse that we just read. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from amongst men. Deuteronomy 32 and 26. But that too will change, and we will be restored back to our original place. And all of you are part and parcel of that. Men and women of color. The blacks and the browns, and the yellows, and the oranges, and the Martian reds. Baruch Hashem. We will be restored back. That's promised. That's going to happen. And I firmly believe we're in the early stages now. Right now, we're in those early stages. Baruch Hashem. We're in those early stages. So I think this is vital for us to understand that, is that the reconciliation starts within ourselves. We got to reconcile with ourselves. Each and every one of us. Before we can reconcile with powers, we got to realize and reconcile with ourselves and understanding that we are in control. HaKohen gave you great testimonies about a man that's in control. You know what I mean? He would be my poster. He would be my poster man definition of what a man is in control. You take control. Eddie says, yes, mainstream is becoming aware of the history. We already have Kanye coming up and saying he's Moses. There you go. You see? That's a start. It's got to start somewhere, right? But that's what you're going to get. And, a lot of people know this, but, they're trying to put a lid on it. But the lid, you can't keep a lid on something. The truth, you can't hide it, in the darkness forever. It will be revealed and it will be exposed as for what it really is, what is the truth. And, family, we are at the bedrock of that. We're the starters. We're the starters, Mishpachah. Be glad. Be of good cheer. Is that we are reconciling, we are restoring back to the powers of Israel. It's not about a religion, Mishpachah. You're for a religion in the wrong place. It's about the way of life, the way our forefathers lived, the way Abraham lived, the way Noah lived, the way Isaac lived, the way Jacob lived. Baruch Hashem. This is our way of life. It's our lifestyle. And it's a beautiful lifestyle. Once you begin to take control, and you begin to see, and you open up your closet, and you see all the different, the different wardrobes at your disposal that you can utilize to benefit your life so that you can take control. And so that you can have whatever you desire for yourself. And so that you see your dreams become reality. That's real. That's real. Moses is getting ready to die. What is he telling them? He's giving the family just the facts. Look, you guys going to turn away. Thus, powers is going to turn away from you. But, wait a minute. You'll come back. You'll come back. But you'll come back. And you'll be restored. And you'll reconcile with powers of Israel. And then you'll be restored. You'll be remembered again. If you're forgotten, then guess what? You will be remembered. Baruch Hashem. And guess what? The Most High never forgot His people. The powers of Israel's source never forgot His people. He only did what? We're told in our Torah that He only did what? Is that He only hid His face from us. Deuteronomy 32 and 20. And He said, I will hide my face from them. He only hid His face. He didn't forget us. We've never been forgotten. So don't ever think that. Take control and realize that you have never been forgotten. You've never been forsaken. Yeshua ben Yosef realized that and was teaching that to us as well. Teaching that to the people of his generation. You will never be forsaken. If you're under the umbrella of the Torah of Moses You will never be forsaken. Powers will never leave you or forsake you. May turn his face away from you for a minute, let you go off and do what you want to do. He may scatter you into the corners. He may do that. But powers did say, I will make the remembrance of them cease from who? Man won't remember you, but powers never forgot you. Baruch Hashem. He'll make man not remember who you are. How many of you right now in your country, the majority of the people around you don't understand that, Israel is a people of black and browns. The Hebrews were a people of blacks and browns. They forgot about it. See, history has totally rewritten itself, through the powers of man, right? It's all, and I tell you what, their whole agenda is this as well. It's all about control, believe it or not. This is no conspiracy theory. Do you understand? Religion is just all about control, to control the masses. Do you understand that's what religion is? It's all about control. But do you know what the Torah is? Torah is all about you taking control. Think about it for a minute. About you having control. That you do have control within the Torah. It's just polar opposite. What's good is bad and bad is good. You see what I mean? But all religion is. I was in religion. I can tell you. Now that I'm outside of it, that's just one big control mechanism. That they can have control. It was influencing my life, influencing the course of my life. It was all about, what that Oxford definition that they're giving you out of the Oxford languages. It was just all about influencing and directing definitely directing people's behavior. It was directing my behavior. Man, you know how many times I used to say the Hail Mary prayer and the Rosary and the Our Father prayer and turning them beads, going to communion. Oh yeah, going to the confessional booth. All that mumbo jumbo. You know what all that was at the end of the day? It was directing my behavior. Now don't you do it again, little Johnny. Don't you do it again. Go out and play and don't do it again. But if you do it again, come back and just do this and we'll give you a clean slate and you can go out and conquer the world and do it again. But remember, you're a sinner. Sinner, chicken dinner. The power to influence. You have the power. We've talked about this many times, and I reiterate, family. You have the power. You see? You have control. Well, Rabbi, what am I controlling? You have to look at your vast lands of what you control. What do you control? That's what you have to ask yourself. And your process of reconciling with yourself. You got to reconcile with self first. That's step one into reconciliation with powers. If you notice, that's just what the HaAzinu has been doing with the family. It's teaching you first to reconcile with. First of all, understand you have to have a relationship with yourself. You have to know self, have a relationship with self, rectify with self, and then it's a whole new world. It's a whole new world after that, Mr. Ha. Eddie says, in my case, they didn't even tell me, don't do it again. Just say some prayers. Divorce says, for many years, we were deceiving and thinking that the Jews are Israel, but Baruch Hashem to Yahweh for revealing the truth to us. Yeah, indeed. God is the rock of our salvation. Indeed, powers is indeed the rock on which I do stand. Baruch Hashem. And I am the rock, Baruch Hashem, and the rock is me, and we are one. I have the DNA of El Shaddai, Baruch Hashem. And so that's what it is. And so we go out and we do and we exemplify through our actions our way of living and our way of life. It's not a religion. It's not a religion. It's not none of that mumbo jumbo. It's not rote. It's fully open. Torah is just so open and so free. It's unbelievably free, but I believe it. It's so free, it's almost unbelievable, but I do believe it. It's so free, it's so open, it's so vast. as far as your eye can see, when you look out in your valley, on your mountaintop, wherever you may be, in your pasture, wherever you want to be, on your farm, in your suburban area, in your city. That's what it's all about, Mishpachah. We go out and we live the lifestyle of our powers, of our forefathers. We live like Abraham. We live like Moses. We live like Jacob. We live like all of Jacob and his children, Baruch Hashem. You live like Judah. You go out and you live like your ancestors. And you learn. We learn from our ancestors so that we can carry on. But it's all within us. We all have the capacity to do it within us. There's nothing that we have to go run out for. So during this time, see that reconciliation is real. During this time of Yom Kippur, make the reconciliation that you need to make. Stand in the gap for your city, for your town, for your family. Today they have this national prayer, whatever going on here, the religions do. I commend them for doing that. At least they're reaching out for something bigger than them. Something that they believe in. Now we take that and get that on a global scale, Baruch Hashem. Like what he's talking about that. Get that on a global scale and see this plague staved off, Baruch Hashem. See it staved off. See it subside. See it probably won't ever go away. Flu don't ever go away. More importantly, my desire, my meditations is that humanity eradicates himself of fear, because fear is crippling a lot of people. Fear is really crippling a lot of folks from just living a life of being glad, a life of joy, peace, and happiness, regardless if there's a plague or no plague. That fear of just a plague, that fear of getting a virus and dying is just like, my goodness, it shackles people, it paralyzes people where they can't get on. They can't live a life, you see. They cannot live a life. They can't meet their marks. Because what's on their plate is 10 servings of fear. To where they can't get on with what makes them happy, what gives them peace. So the eradication of fear is at the top of my list. Because a lot of folks are just swimming in fear right now. And it's due to a virus. A virus is making people fearful. Now, when you don't have control, and then you listen to all this other mumbo-jumbo that they're telling you about the virus, that's just amplifying their fear. That people just don't get on with their life. I'm like, my goodness. I watched some of the president, he had I think he had a rally, I think it was in last night, Virginia, and I was just looking at the people. I mean, 90% of those people didn't have a mask on. I was like, okay, that's great. That's great. That's great. They didn't have a mask on, and yet the president is still holding a rally. But yet, you're going to get people, these people didn't have masks on, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. You got to quit running in fear, Mishpachah. You got to quit, you got to just stop and just go, just carry on. Carry on with your life. Carry on. And do what makes you happy. Continue to manifest whatever makes you happy and gives you peace and love and joy. Whatever dreams that you want to see, brought into existence, let them be. Now, the path to get there, that's a whole nother step. I was talking to Shane Yah about this, the path is not important as the journey itself, Baruch Hashem. How many of you concern yourself with the path opposed to just meeting the journey? I don't care what path it takes. If the journey's met, Baruch Hashem, I'm happy. But I'm not going to sit there and throw a pity pat over the path. One path don't work, 10 more may open up to get me to destination journey. You know what I mean? too many folks just focus on the path. Oh man, this path, this one path didn't work out for me. Okay, that one path closed up, but guess what? 10 others will open up. Go down those paths. Don't ever give up on yourself. Don't ever quit. Don't ever throw in the towel. Don't ever say it's done, because it's never finished. It is never finished. Let me tell you that right now. It is never finished. HaKohen, he's got one BMW model car taken out. It is never finished. He has about a couple of more cars sitting on the desk too that are going to be manifested and brought into physical reality. Baruch Hashem. It's never finished. You just move on. You see? Your ancestors, they're not finished. They just move on. Their energy. You can't kill or destroy energy. Their power, source, their energy. So they don't get destroyed, annihilated. They just change form. This is why you can invoke your forefathers, your foremothers. You can invoke them. Correct me if I'm wrong, HaKohen, but you got Jews that go to the burial place of Abraham, and they talk to Abraham. They'll talk to Abraham. They'll have discussions and want guidance and direction from Abraham. So what does that tell you? Abraham's dead? No, he's changed form. Can't do that with Moses, because we don't know where Moses is. I'm pretty sure that was done for many reasons that, I don't understand. But, yeah, you can't do that with Moses. You can't go to Moses' tomb and say, Moses, this verse in the Torah, what did you mean here? What was your intent here? Give me some insight. So don't ever think that something is finished. If one path is closed, 10 more, 20 more will open. You have to be astute and aware. Put awareness in your affirmations. I am aware. You got to be aware of things or you're missing them. Because just like Kohen said, and I firmly believe this is true, whether you see it or not, you manifesting things right now. You listening via YouTube. Whether you saying, well, manifesting, that's a bunch of new age mumbo jumbo. You call it what you want, but you doing it right now. You're either manifesting good or you're manifesting bad. You're manifesting things right now. Whether you have control of what you're manifesting or not, or you don't have control, things are being manifested. And if you can't bride your mouth and bride your thought process and bride your syntax, then you're out of control manifestation. Forms of manifestation. Because there's different forms of it. You could manifest with authority and with conviction, or you could manifest that unknowingly, an unconscious manifestation or conscious manifestation. Which one do you choose for yourself? I want to manifest consciously, knowing what I'm doing, so I don't, trip and fall over myself, and then try to blame everybody else and their mama for not being successful when I need to reconcile with myself. You know what I mean? I just need to reconcile with myself. Life is so beautiful. Live a beautiful life. You can't live a beautiful life saying that you're ugly. Well, I'm ugly. And nobody likes me, blah, blah, blah. Well, then guess what? You manifested for yourself. You see, that's unconscious manifestation. You need to start manifesting consciously. And so this is why you have to build and establish that relationship and reconcile the relationship with yourself first. You begin to date yourself. How many of you have dated yourself recently? Took yourself on a date? Anybody take themselves on a date recently? Took yourself out? Had a date with yourself? You know what? I have those dates all the time, and I call that what? Meditation. Date with myself. I'm dating myself. At the same time, connecting to source. I'm dating myself. Finding out more about myself. digging deeper into myself. You know, self has many levels to it. You know that you getting connected with conscious, that subconscious will take you, to many, 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 many different places. Far places within you that at one time you thought never existed or you didn't even know about them. They were forgotten, but they were always there. Baruch Hashem. Consider these things going forward, Mishpahar, and we'll do ourselves a great service. We'll do ourselves the greatest service. Because service is first to yourself. I know this may seem opposite, and that was Yeshua ben Yosef's problem, because he was totally opposite, and people opposed him for him being opposite of what mainstream was saying. So he was hated, and he was chased down by the powers that be of that time, because they saw him as an enemy because he was opposite. How many of you that kind of resonates with you? Is that people see you as an enemy because you don't think like them. You don't act like them. You don't eat like them. So they don't like you. Matter of fact, they detest you for what you stand for. You just leave them alone. I mean, you're going to run into those people, I'm telling you. That's just a part of human nature. You're going to have some kind of relations with these kind of folks. Now, they may not come out and say it the way I said it. They may say it in the suit. They may say it with a smile on their face. But it's there. It's total opposite of how, you know, the world seems to go round. But that's just what you are. You're opposite. And that's what makes you unique and special. This way of life, this perfect law is like, my goodness. You try to wrap your head around it, but you can't. This is why that connection to source, to self, is so important. You must connect with yourself, because the perfect law is married to self. It's not married to your mind and your heart. You understand what I'm saying? It's deeper than that. It's connected to that subconscious. That's what a perfect law, it meets there. It's married. There's a marriage. There's a relationship there. The mind can't understand it. And the heart is definitely like, man, this is whack. I don't get it. I don't feel perfect law. I don't feel, because the perfect law is not a feeling. That's why the heart can't understand it. And the head can't rationalize it, because your ego is like, wait a minute. Logic just can't wrap its tentacles around this. Like, wait, that's not right. That can't be right. You can't have what you want. These are the kind of battles that's going on within you. I'm telling you, they are. You got to recognize them. You got to be aware. Awareness. I couldn't did a lecture on this way back. You got to be aware that these things are going on and these battles are taking place. Wars are being won daily. It's not about religion. It's about you. You know, you need to sit down and just let things sit down, go on your back porch, your garden, your yard, and just sit down and see where your mind want to take you. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at what your thought, what just keep flowing, and you're at peace, you're at rest, you're just sitting down, and just be aware of what's going on, of where your mind wants to take you. In the middle of quietness, there's a lot of things going on between your ears, a whole bunch of things going on. You have to take control of all of that stuff. And it can be controlled. Everything has its place. And that's a part of taking control. Because you realize that you have the power. You are power. Baruch Hashem. You are energy. You transmit and you receive. That's what you do. Now, it's on you what you want to transmit and what you want to receive. It's not on, the Joneses. It's on you. That's what's important to understand as we move forward. as we move forward. Reconciliation? Yes, now's the time to do so. Reconcile with yourself, thus you will reconcile with powers. So very important that we do that. So very important that we do that. I'm going to close with Deuteronomy 32 and 43. Be glad, O Shemayim, with him, and let all the heavenly sons pay homage to him. Be glad, O Goyim, O nations. Be glad this day, Mishpachah, with his people, and let all the Melechim of Elohim prevail for him. For he will avenge the blood of his sons and take revenge and repay the enemies with the sentence, and he will repay those who hate. And the Adonai, the Lord, the Master, shall cleanse the land of his people. That cleansing, that reconciliation, you know what that land is talking about? The land between your two ears. There's a lot of real estate between the left ear and the right ear. A whole bunch of real estate in there. And that cleansing has to take place within yourself first. That's where it starts. Got a clean house. Dust off the cobwebs. Throw away some furniture. You got to make room. Thus you have to rid yourself of many things. Ideologies, thought process, belief systems. The land got to be clean. Everybody talking about they want to go back to the land. Everybody talking about they want to go back to the land. My goodness. But folks, 99.9% of them are not even ready for the land. They're not equipped. They don't have the equipment to live in the land. Because they haven't reconciled with themselves. They haven't reconciled with themselves. Got to cleanse that land. Yael, a woman of 10 is saying this. I want to give thanks to Akoy for teaching me to visualize and not having an accident. Wednesday, I was driving down a 2-lane road and a pickup truck drove directly at me in my lane and never corrected back into his own lane, then turned left at the next corner. I was able to avoid a head-on collision by braking and driving part way in the ditch. I and my passengers are alive in the whole today, thanks. Alive and whole. Today, thanks to HaKohen and his instructions. Baruch Hashem. Protection. Baruch Hashem. Yael, woman of the tent. You took control. You said you wasn't going to have no wreck, and you didn't have no wreck. You took control of the situation. Man, that's beautiful. And that's just what it is. And again, you manifest some things all day long, all day strong. Now, whether you're manifesting positive or negative, that's on you, but you are manifesting things. You are energy. Whether you realize it or not, you are energy. You may not be fully charged. Yael 110 said, I will never have a wreck. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. That's how it's done. That's how it's done. You say it, you see it, you believe it, and you be it. The end. Full stop. So as we usher in Yom Kippurim, consider these things going forward as you do whatever kind of affliction that's desirable for yourself, as you utilize that time to really utilize that period, this period in history, this period in your life, to really connect, reconnect, reconcile, repent. Akoy talked about world repentance. My goodness. Help stave off this plague. Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. But if the world don't do it, we can. Because we are the world. Isn't that what Michael Jackson said? We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones that can make a brighter day. So let's start living, right? Repent, reconcile. Akoy said he's here to rectify the relationship between what? Mankind and powers. Baruch Hashem. That's a beautiful thing. So on that note, I think we'll wrap it up for this Shabbat. And you all have a great holiday ahead. A great Yom Kippur. Let it mean something to you different. Look at it in a different way. You know, some of you're veterans. You've been in the way for a minute. So see Yom Kippur on a deeper level. Start to peel away at the layers of that onion and look within yourself and see where you can rectify, build, and establish that relationship even more with self, with source, with that subconscious, and go out and meet your marks and do great things for yourself and for those that are around you. Go out and do great things and be a help and be glad that you are under the umbrella of Moses in this Torah. Be glad that you are a child of Israel. Though everybody around you is doubting and telling you that you're not, and they're being doubting Thomas, who cares? Who cares? They don't see you as Israel. Well, that's prophesied. So who cares? Who cares? Who gives the flying flute? Who cares? You just continue to move on and press on. And live a life of happiness and peace and joy and love and loving kindness for all humanity and compassion for all humanity, regardless of their belief system, regardless if their hair is nappy or curly or straight, regardless, the color of their skin, regardless if they're a man or a woman or other, doesn't matter. Let's get on with the getting on. Baruch Hashem. So on that note, we'll wrap it up for this Shabbat. I'm going to turn it back over to our Kohen, and I'll leave it open for any questions. But I tell you what, take control. Think about that word this week, taking control, and what control really is, and taking that control. It's a beautiful thing once you do it. Once you take control of that horse, you can take that horse and tell that horse wherever you want to go, and let it take wherever you want to go. Where you want to go, the horse will take you there, because you take control of those reins. And you can your journey is wherever you want to go in whatever direction you want to go, and that's beautiful. The relationship between powers and humanity has been made difficult, but it's really easy. HaKohen has made the relationship so easy because it's all internalized, and you don't have to go looking for nothing, and you can do it from your own home. Oh, that's the beautiful thing. And that's what it was meant to be from the beginning, from your own home with your family. Come on, that's what it is. If anybody want to argue against that, then why don't we have a standing temple right now in Israel today? Think about that going forward. If the temple was so important, why haven't we had a continual standing temple throughout the generations? What is that telling you? Think about that for a minute. Something to think about, right? So on that note, we'll wrap it up. And my desire is that all of you have a great holiday ahead and a great 6 days of labor. Shabbat shalom and shalom shalom to y'all. Love you and leave you in the mighty hands of yourself and in the Most High and in the Kohen in the gate. Baruch Hashem.
Todah for that, Rabbi Kefa. Now, just for you people who would like to manifest a car, this is how you would do it. You'd write an affirmation that says, you are a new car. Meaning, you write it, I am a new car. Now, whatever car you desire, add that in there. If you desire to be a BMW, I am a new BMW. I am new BMW, fully paid. By the way, I did add that to my little affirmation, fully paid. I don't want to go and pay $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 for a BMW. I have it fully paid. Over here, a gift is a gift. We don't sell gifts. Even if I drive that car for 2 hours in the day or 1 hour in the day, to me, that's a win. That's. I am in the A+ category now. I am within the population here. I'm A+. I'm in the above category. So to me, that's a great win. So you write for yourself, I am a new whatever car you want to be, fully paid. Now, unless you want to pay for it, then that's a different matter. So that's how you're going to win your car. Now, I know some of you may be driving that Kusti, and you may want to change. Now is the time to think about writing that affirmation and speaking it out every day. Execution is key. Don't just sit on it. Execution is key. Okay? Have a great Shabbat. Have a great festival. Come with humbleness before the Master of the heaven and the earth, and you shall see all your desires in this life. And before you come back again, you will see them all here. And some of you are young enough to get everything in your life within the next 60, 70 years of your life. You'll get everything that you desire: a beautiful wife, cars, houses, businesses. You just name it, you'll get it, because you are powerful masters. And Israel high, Israel lives, and you are Israel. So with that, Shabbat Shalom, Shalom, Shalom.